Surah 113 shouldn't be there.
So I don't agree with that. I believe what the Quran says at the beginning is the perfect book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then, but then, does that perfection include the du'as? Would you have an issue calling Allah your father?
I personally don't actually. No. When they look at this, they don't argue against it. They don't even question the context. They just don't believe in it.
All right.
So all the people who call me a disbeliever hate the Quran.
Okay.
I'm happy to tell you all these things that would destroy the Sunni belief.
Okay.
Because the Sunni belief is not Islam. It's a perversion of Islam. Muslims absolutely hate that one. So I'm an Ahmadi Muslim. That means a Muslim who believes that the second coming of Jesus come. So Christians are waiting for the second coming of Jesus. Muslims are waiting for the second coming of Jesus. I believe he's already come. And what I believe is both in line with the Quran and the Bible. Because we believe in a metaphorical second coming of Jesus. Just like Jesus believed in metaphorical second comings, like in the case of Elijah and John the Baptist. Yeah. So that's a basic introduction. And also, maybe one of the most famous things about Ahmadi Muslims is that we believe in love for all and hatred for none. We're known for that all around the world, which is huge. We're very distinct, therefore, from the rest of the Muslims, because if I even say, without saying, even though the phrase love for all, hatred for none is very well known, if I just say we should be nice to all Muslims, there are literally Muslims who'll be like, oh, you're an Ahmadi Muslim. So what does that say? That means Muslims believe in hating other people, which is why the second coming of Jesus had to come. The metaphorical second coming of Jesus was to bring return Muslims back to love for all people, because that's fundamental teaching of Islam. Prophet Muhammad, I'm going on in a bit, but I'll kind of finish off kind of thing. Wow, nice battery's kind of running a bit.
Oh, really?
Oh, no, it should be okay, I've got 20%. Okay.
You can do like...
I've got a battery pack, but it'll be fine, 20% will last. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was told in the Quran, so I tried to stick with the Quran because you got a bit of fluff there.
There's probably going to be more on the Quran in a second.
Prophet Muhammad is told in the Quran by God that you have not been sent except to be a mercy to Alameen, which can be translated all people, or all creation even, or all world, basically everything. They maybe probably even trees, because Prophet Muhammad was famously
not cutting trees.
Yeah. So I'll stop. That's my long intro. Any thoughts, or do you want to share?
I mean, yeah. Well, so hi, I'm David. I've been coming to the corner for a little while. Essentially, what I will say is,
and you're a Christian.
I'm a Christian.
Because just in case you're famous here, but like just in case
I'm not famous
people haven't watched the videos.
I am a Christian. There are some fundamental things that you've said that I do disagree with. Obviously, we are aware that we think different things about Christ. You think he's already come, I think he's yet to come. And there's different things around like sort of theology. I don't believe that Allah is a true God. I don't believe that he's the God of the Bible. But you're already aware of it, so I don't need to hop on it. What I'm interested in discussing with you actually is more so your interpretations of Quranic verses. I saw a video with you and Chris last week. And so this is a criticism that I've had with Sunnis for a while. The Quran says something, and the Sunnis will ignore what the Quran says in favor of what a Hadith says. And they will, for example, the Quran does not mention, from my understanding at least, that all prophets are sinless. It talks about Isa being a pure boy, so he's an exception, as well as his mother Mary, or Maryam. And it talks about Allah forgiving all of Muhammad's past, present, and future sins. Sunnis will go ahead and extrapolate this and have it apply to all prophets, despite there also being hadiths that will tell you that because of the sin of Abraham, on the day of judgment, he will not be able to intercede for the people, and Muhammad will have to do it instead. But you, on the other hand, your belief...
I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do believe, from my understanding of what I've been taught, but I have to go through, I don't know like everything about everything, right?
Sure.
Okay, but I do agree with them that prophets are sinless. And by definition, sin is not like people who don't make mistakes, but people who intentionally don't listen to God. That's what a sin is, in my understanding.
But in the case of Abraham, in this hadith at least, he will not be able to intercede because he lied. Now, do you consider lying going against God?
Yeah, I would say lying is generally, everybody accepts that it's not a good moral thing. And so the reason why logically I have to believe that prophets are sinless, because they're supposed to be guides for their people.
But
they
that
can't be
doesn't require you to
liars
be
and things like that.
sinless.
It's a bit of a problem.
It doesn't require you to be sinless, only to be sanctified by God. That's all it requires.
So it
That's
might have
our
different
perspective.
standards.
Okay,
yeah,
fair
of God.
enough.
But like, yeah, I thought we were going to talk
No,
about.
sure. I'm getting there. I'm getting
Oh
there.
yeah, sure, that's fine.
I'm getting
that's
there.
fine.
So,
Yeah.
I wanted to pick your brain on a few things. I was very interested when you talked about, like I said before, I like that your interpretation comes from the Quran and you don't extrapolate.
Yes.
So, for example, most students will tell you that Allah cannot enter creation, therefore the incarnation of Christianity is wrong. However, you showed Chris a few
was
verses.
it incarnation of what?
The incarnation of Jesus Christ is incorrect, because if Christ is God, God can't come into creation. That's what most will say.
I'm confused about what you mean incarnation. Like,
So the incarnation, the taking on of the Word of God, of flesh. So the Word of God takes on flesh and is able to dwell and interact with human beings.
oh, okay, that's the Christian idea. I thought you were
Yes.
talking about some Muslim idea.
No, the incarnation. They'll say that Jesus Christ cannot be God because Allah cannot enter his own creation.
I mean, I don't go by that argument. I just
Right.
believe Allah is one and
Uh-huh.
He's incomparable to anything.
Yes.
Therefore, He cannot be a human being or limited to being a human being. He's not physical because that's also a limitation.
Of some kind. But
Yeah.
then you showed Chris some verses, like Surah 12, verse 115, where Allah is in some way present in his creation.
That's right. So I'll go through it. There's chapter 43. You can say.
Can I take note of this, or can I
Yeah,
take a
yeah.
screenshot, please?
Yeah.
I want to look at this
We can even share
myself.
numbers. I can send it
Yeah.
all to you.
Cool. Sorry, carry on, please, carry on.
So, chapter 43, verse 84, according
Alright,
to
thank
Sunni
you.
numbering.
Yep.
I call it Sunni numbering
because
because,
of
again,
the Bismillah.
yeah, which is embarrassing because we're supposed to believe Quran is perfect, yet they think there's extra parts of the Quran, like there's a useless verse number 1, which they tend to ignore for some reason. But anyway,
Can I sidetrack you just one more
Yeah,
second?
yeah.
Have you heard about the verse 116 and 15 by any chance?
I have lists like this because I don't memorize stuff, so
Oh,
you'll have
okay.
to tell me and I can
The,
check it out.
the two additional verses that are is this salat? Very similar to number 1, 112, 113, 114. So Surah Al-Nas and Surah, whatever the first one is or whatever, they're supposed to be prayers. But
Right.
there were some of the early Sahaba, I think like Ibn Abbas and Ubay ibn Ka'b, who had two opinions. One being that the salat should be taken out, sorry, the du'as, should be taken out of the Quran. So Surah 1 shouldn't be there, Surah 113 shouldn't be there.
So I don't agree with that. I believe what the Quran says at the
Yep.
beginning is the perfect book.
Okay,
Yeah.
then, but then does that perfection include the du'as?
So everything that's
In
in,
your
the
view.
current Quran,
Yep.
like I say current, there's only one Quran as far as I understand, right?
Okay.
It's supposed to be there. It's a perfect book. The Prophet Muhammad said he's told in the Quran that even if you try to say anything from yourself, I'll take you by your jugular vein and basically you'll be destroyed.
Yeah. So if,
Yeah,
if the
so
messenger ever gives you anything that isn't from him, then we will take him by his right hand
Yes.
and sever his jugular vein, and none of you can protect him from us.
You
Is the idea.
memorized the Quran better than I have.
No, it's
Excellent.
just what we have
It's
heard
good
before.
stuff.
Okay, all right, no, that's fine because the problem is that, or the contention is that some of the early Sahaba, people who were called by Muhammad themselves master reciters of the Quran, believed that the dua should either not be there or additional two should be added on at the end.
So I believe the book is perfect. It says.
Okay, but then with Islamic retention, him and the committee standardized 114 and moved on from there. But before that, there were some Qurans that had either only 111 or 116.
So I'm not aware of that.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I can give you the
Yeah, sure. Like we can exchange
That's
numbers.
fine. Sure.
You can share stuff with me. I can
All right,
research it.
please. I won't touch it again. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. So here's a verse of the Quran, chapter 43, verse 84, according to Sunni numbering, or 85, as it should correctly be if you can. Bismillah is the first verse. And He it is who is God in heaven and God in earth. And so. I said this same thing to Chris, but we
Yeah.
can repeat stuff. It's no problem. More people will understand. Or learn.
Yeah, I think it's good because now, is there anything anywhere in the Quran that tells you that Allah can't enter?
No.
Good.
Right? In fact, this is just a short list that I've made,
Okay.
not like a comprehensive list, of so many examples where God is in the creation.
In some
right?
capacity.
Yeah. And so what the Sunni Muslims tried to do, because they look like they made an effort to hide the fact that God can be in on earth, they try to translate some very basic Arabic.
Yeah.
Oh, there's an Arab here. You don't. I mean, you can get your voice if you like. So we've got a non-Muslim Arab. I won't say any more, but his face is cringing because he hasn't been Speaker's Corner for a while.
Okay.
He used to be in all my videos, but today doesn't feel like it. But maybe you can help me translate one word, a really small word. He's reluctant.
It's optional. It's optional.
Okay, I'll ask you, but you don't have to answer. Fee. What does fee mean? You can look at it. Look at it from here. Can you see it's highlighted?
Sorry, sir. There's some cameras behind you if you don't mind. Yeah, just those three. That's fine. Thank you. But please, feel free to come around in between them or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
Well, fee, it can be, it can mean several things. I mean, it can mean like in, as you've written here, but you can also mean we don't have anything. Like one of a common phrase, like for example, used in Sufi music is "Ma fi qalbi ghayr Allah." There's nothing in my being except for God. So it can also mean,
it still means
there isn't something. It means there is not something.
So in you can see the Arabic. I don't want to push you too much, but can you see the whole verse there?
Yes.
Okay. If you were translating it, this is the only thing. I don't want to put you, I know if you can't see him off camera, but he's like, oh no, I don't want to do this. And I can understand because you want to just be a viewer today. But let me put it as a yes or no, simple, right? The rest of the Sunni Muslims try to translate it. Instead of saying God is in heaven and God is in earth, they say God has dominion over earth. What do you think? You can. You don't have to agree with me. Just.
So
anyway.
is there any way fee can mean dominion? That's all I guess.
I cannot see it meaning dominion in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm not an expert on the language.
Okay.
Yeah. They're just like English people are not all Shakespearean.
No, they're not.
right?
They're not.
So Arabic is high level Arabic. So I mean, yeah. The Quran is high level Arabic.
Yeah, supposedly classical Arabic.
Classical
supposedly,
Arabic. Yeah. Okay. But fee is generally a fairly simple word. Would you say?
Yes, quite.
So I won't push you for any more than that. You just want to enjoy it.
I feel ensured that the translation I see here and the confirmation is true.
Yeah. And there's so many other examples to back this up. So.
Because that there would also be a fee, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So you can read some of the script now.
I can look at a word and recognize it looks like a backwards 3.
Yeah.
No, sorry, no, 3, a 3. Yeah.
Cool.
A 3 with an exclamation mark.
It's good. You've done a lot of research.
Okay.
And then so I talked about it doesn't mean dominion.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, and sorry, and the fact that we can like verify even more that it doesn't mean dominion because there's only 2 verses before. There's a verse that says, "Holy is our Lord of the heavens and the earth," which effectively means has dominion.
Yeah.
So it would be just a repetition for no good reason.
Okay.
Right? So you might as well say something different. The Quran's supposed to be perfect.
So 2 verses
repeating.
ahead of time. It already
Yes.
says, "Holy is our Lord of heaven and the earth,"
Yeah.
and then 2 verses below it will say, "He is He who is in heaven and God in earth." Okay.
Yeah. So verse 84, I'm just going by Sunni. Okay. By that because it keeps a bit long-winded to keep repeating.
No, that's fair.
So verse, according to Sunni notation, which is most people, 84, verse 84, it says God is in heaven and in earth.
Okay.
And then verse 82, the holy is our Lord of
the
heavens and the earth.
Fair enough.
Yeah, simple. And then I'll just keep going through a list unless you get bored of it. So Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. Okay, so He's everywhere effectively. I spoke to the Muslim Lantern. Do you know him? He doesn't hang around here much.
Okay.
He didn't want to be on camera for the discussion.
Right.
And I said, because to be honest, I try to, when I came here, I wanted to avoid Muslims because they say so many crazy things. And they're not very logical, and I like to have logical discussions. But so I was kind of a little bit unaware of so many crazy things they believe in.
Okay.
Like God is effectively a prisoner who can't be on planet Earth, and he's floating above a chair or a throne, and he can only hang on. I don't know. It must be a huge chair for him to be hanging above it. But anyway, there's so many stupid ideas, right? Which actually insult Islam.
Right.
But like he's the one who mentioned to me, or maybe I heard from somebody just before him that God can't be on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And I told him this verse because it's the first thing that came to my mind. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. And his response, although normally he's very scientific and logical, he said, because it was winter and there was a moon was bright, he said, look, there's the moon and the light is here. What did he say? He said the light is up there, yet we're affected by it. But it's like, that's not how science works. The light is down here. That's why you can see the moon.
Right.
So his logic doesn't add up.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. This is just another way of saying God is everywhere. Okay. And then another verse, and that's chapter 4. Sorry, chapter 24, verse 35.
Yep.
That one there. And then you got
yeah, this is the one I memorized. If you look to the east, look to the west. What do you see? Allah.
Yeah, that's right. So if God is above, then you would never
be able to find
Right.
him in the east and west. Yeah.
Right, and it's extra stupid because the world is rotating. So how could God be above? That means God is kind of, it's just stupid.
I think the problem is that that rationale, him being like a prisoner above the throne, makes him a localized being, which is not the greatest conceivable being that you can think of. Because if they're localized, that means that they don't fill up. That means that there's space that they don't fill up, which is like so basically it's like an infinite void somewhere, and Allah is above the throne.
There's so many ridiculous things.
Yep.
Like I always get the Isra and Mirage mix. Mirage is the one when he went to
It's both.
Jerusalem. Yeah.
Is that the distinction? The
There
Isra
is a distinction. Yeah, I get it mixed up.
I've always heard it called the Isra Mirage.
They
So,
say
like, it's the
Wahb
same
and
thing?
Yeah, they're two separate things. One is going into heaven, one is going to
the
Jerusalem.
Father's mosque.
Yeah,
I
but
didn't
it's
know
something
that.
I didn't take interest too much in because I just look at the metaphorical meanings,
Right.
which are really useful. But one of the so when you went to heaven,
Yep.
before he got to God, there's a tree there, a lot tree, and they think literally the closest thing to God is a tree, which is really stupid. The lot tree is an ancient boundary marker. That's all it is. It's
Okay.
like when you go beyond the boundaries, a phrase or metaphor for
Right.
you've gone to the ultimate. So Prophet Muhammad went to the ultimate boundary of what a human could do.
Okay.
But it's just having a tree there is so ridiculous. Well, there's a tree there's a tree up there and God's next to the tree and it's just so stupid.
So there's a tree, and then there's water, and then there's a throne, and above the throne you have Allah.
Oh, if there's water, I mean, there's all these different hadiths, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, where else are we?
So I think we're now at 50.
and we are nearer to him
than his jugular
than even than to his jugular vein. And for people who are not, doctors, they might not realise the importance of a jugular vein is maybe known as a life artery, effectively.
Yeah.
You cut that, you're basically dead.
Can I prod you on that a little bit,
Yes,
if you
go
don't
on.
mind?
Yeah, go on.
So, verse 50, Surah 50, verse 16, says that Allah is nearer to you than jugular, right? But 30 that the prophet is closer to the believers than themselves. So, would you as both the prophet and Allah are near you, or is there one that is nearer to you than the other?
So the way I could understand, although I've never heard of that one, but
Can I show you?
You can show me. Yeah, I'm always willing to learn. I'm always
Because
willing
you're
to.
showing me things, so
Yeah, of
I might as well
course.
show you something.
No, I mean when I debate people, I'm not like angry with them
Oh,
or
no.
like think I know everything
No need to
or
be.
whatever. I think we should all be like, oh, okay, learn something.
So myquran.com has like a million different translations of any
of
verse.
course,
So
yeah.
pick the one that
I'll go
suits
with
you
any
best.
translation.
So
go on.
33:6. The prophet is more it says more worthy.
It sounds reasonable, by the way, but
Okay.
I'm just checking, reading
Sure.
it anyway.
The
Yeah.
prophet is more worthy of the believers than themselves, and his wives are in the position, doesn't say in Arabic, of their mothers. So, it being that in this verse, Muhammad is being described as either more worthy or in this transition closer to the believers than themselves. When you put that in contrast to 50:16, when it talks about Allah being as near to you as a jugular vein, do you take this as Allah and the Prophet are both close to us.
My immediate understanding is that Allah is the closest.
Okay.
And then there's a prophet.
Okay.
And what closeness is there? Like, I rather try to look at the meaning and the
Sure,
usefulness
yeah,
of
sure.
it. And the usefulness of it is like, we are often detached from our own goals and desires when we get trapped into materialism.
Sure.
Right? So I just go like, Prophet Muhammad is like a father figure to all of us, and it makes sense that, and somebody who's enlightened, let's say, and use modern terminology, whatever, I think we all understand what enlightened means, or more self-aware, or what all our needs are, he is in some ways closer to your needs than you are yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, so often like a father or mother is of a child. You know, the child doesn't know what it needs. It wants ice cream all the time, but you know better.
That it needs some nutrients.
Yeah.
Would you have an issue calling Allah your father?
I personally don't actually. No. I mean,
In
some
that, your father is the cause of you. And Allah is the cause of everything.
So a lot of Muslims have a problem using any terminology that's linked to Christianity,
I know,
right?
I know.
Okay. And they're also really scared that somebody might think that you mean literally your father, biologically,
Right.
which is silly, right?
Yes.
So
There are Ahmadis like yourself, there are Sunnis, there are Salafi Sunnis, there's more moderate Hanafis, I'm aware. So I try and speak to the person I'm talking to. So I will not be aggressive with you because there's no need to be. You haven't been so with me. I know I yell at Siraj, I yell at Mansour, but they yell back at me.
yeah.
Which is why.
Yeah, and this is against the teachings of Islam. So I've got a whole section of how Muslims should behave.
Right.
Okay. First of all, they shouldn't be calling anybody non-believers.
Yeah.
There's a verse of the Quran that says, if somebody says salam to you, you're not allowed to call them a disbeliever. And that wipes out half of the debates.
Is there a context to this?
You can look into it,
Okay.
but there's the funny thing is none of the Muslims, when they look at this, they don't argue against it. They don't even question the context. They just
Okay.
don't believe in it.
All right.
So all the people who call me a disbeliever hate the Quran.
Okay.
Like, they will not respond to it. They will just, all they do is they're on repeat. You're a kafir, you're a disbeliever, you're a
Right.
disbeliever. Like you might have saw before I got
I did,
there.
I did.
That's all you get. Like,
I did.
he said, he didn't even try to argue logically.
You just heard it and I was like, oh.
And he
nope.
was saying, well, don't talk to him, he's a disbeliever, there's no point. It's just, they're just on repeat, broken record, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I love
These,
emphasis on
that's the
repeating.
thing. They don't like the Quran, yet they want to call me a disbeliever.
Okay.
Right? And then there's so many, if you want to go into Hadith, it says that, they say, what's the word? It says, if what's it? Gentility, anything that gentility is added to, I'm sort of paraphrasing, I'm not good at memorizing, but anything where you are gentle, it adds beauty to it.
Okay.
And whenever you've got harshness, it detracts beauty from it.
Okay.
That includes discussion. And so you can see in Speaker's Corner, people are really rude to each other, including the Muslims. And Muslims are really rude to loads of other people for no good reason. I have discussions with you, with yourself, and so many other people that Ali Dawa and the top people speak to, Hamza's Den, and they're so rude to those people that I talk to. And when I talk to the same people, it's a friendly discussion. You know, it's completely unnecessary.
Well,
but we know, because they refuse to talk to me because, first of all, they'll probably lose, right? Even Hamza's Den said, he said he didn't want to talk to me because he's not knowledgeable about the Quran, which
Right.
is embarrassing. So that means he's more knowledgeable about the Bible. It just makes it. He should be knowledgeable about the Quran firstly, right?
Right.
But the point is, these people, it's a business. It's a business.
Yeah, I've
because
heard.
why would they wind people up? Because they know
It
that
drives
you get
viewership.
more views. And my worst videos are my most popular videos because I'm having a normal discussion. Somebody starts insulting me, and you get more views.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate. It shouldn't be like that. We could blame human beings more than YouTube algorithm, by the way.
Before the time ends, do you want to hear the Christian perspective?
Yeah, sure.
On the topic you're bringing up?
Yeah, go for it.
So, we also believe that God is infinite. So God is everything that there is. There is nothing without God. Now, can God in his full magnitude come into earth? No. Because the infinite cannot answer the finite. But wait, in the Bible, we have instances where people say they've seen God. We have Jesus Christ. So how do those two things dovetail together? The idea is that when in the Old Testament you see the burning bush, like in the Quran, or when you see the pillar of cloud guiding the children of Israel by day, those are notions or images of God.
Manifestation.
Yes, essentially. So
I agree.
a localized image of God's presence and power.
Yeah.
It's always around, but it can localize itself at certain times, and that's when we see things like the burning bush.
Yeah, I agree.
And the second way is in the incarnation, which you might not agree with, but the idea is that God can take onto himself an attribute of his creation, like fleshiness, which is why you see Jesus Christ. He is God in the flesh. You may not agree with that, but that is our viewpoint.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't agree, but I'm listening.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. So I don't agree with certain things that you have said, but I don't need to lambast you over it.
Yeah. It was a good discussion.
That's all. Yeah.
And we shared some information.
I'm good to talk to you again next week about like something else because like I mean you have like multiple sheets.
Yeah.
So if you have anything else to talk about, we can do that.
Yeah. I mean, what it is, I'm not desperate to chase these top YouTubers. Because it could be useful to get the word out to more people.
Okay.
But I don't depend on them. I depend on God, right?
At least
So
today
what my
you're on
point
two
is,
channels on Christian
yeah,
channels. So at
great.
least, at least.
So I'm happy to tell you all these things that would destroy the Sunni belief.
Okay.
Because the Sunni belief is not Islam. It's a perversion of Islam, and it was expected perversion of Islam because the reason why. So very briefly, before the battery dies. Ahmadi Muslims are kind of the equivalent of when Jesus came to the Jews. Jews, there were 71 sects, or quite a lot of sects at the time, and Jesus came and he said, this is real Judaism. Prophet Muhammad said the same thing would happen in the latter days. He said there'll be 73 groups,
only one.
and there will only be one that's true, right? And so we're the one that's true, and then you might say, how can you choose yourself? I mean, one is they've actually chosen for us because despite all the crazy things they do between themselves, they've got prostitution, the one-day marriages.
Yeah, the
they've
muta
got,
and all that stuff.
Yeah, they've got idolatry where they pray to graves. Yet, although they generally say you're a liar, they all come together and say we are not disbelievers, right?
No, you are. Also, they
So
are.
we are disbelievers. Sorry,
Okay.
I did a double negative by accident,
Okay.
right? The point is, they've chosen that we are the one and they are the 72.
Right.
They've done the job for us.
Right.
And there's many more, much clearer prophecies anyway, but they've made it easier. And what's the point is we're just rejuvenating true Islam. That's it, really.
Okay, I think we can cap it there for today. But certainly next time, because for example, I've seen you talk also about Jesus Christ, or Isa in the Quran, and how the interpretation of him being taken up to Allah is different from what the Sunnis think.
Oh yeah, I mean it's worth
we can
saying
go
that
into
the
that as well.
reason why this whole debate, discussion about God not being on earth is so important to Sunnis is it destroys their whole belief system because they believe Jesus is superhuman, which is very interesting. They basically believe he's godlike.
I was asking my friend, what's he eating right now? If he's a human being. If he's like with Allah, what's he eating?
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's superhuman, living for 2,000 years
Yep.
so far. But the point is, they go to a verse of the Holy Quran that says Jesus went to God, was raised to
Was
God,
raised to him, yeah.
right? But how can you be raised to God if God is here already, right?
Okay.
And then the same, but just to explain it in a few seconds. The word rafa, which means raised or can be exalted, and there's an Arab here, but you probably don't want to get involved.
Okay.
Okay, he's saying no. Is also used for Muslims when they pray. They are raised in the
Okay.
Quran. The same word.
Can I see this, please? Is
Yeah,
is that
sure.
possible?
Yeah, of
right
course.
before
We might as well.
right-
Let's see
right-
if the battery dies.
Right
but
before the
it'll be
battery
alright.
dies. I just want the reference. I'll go look
Yeah,
at it
yeah,
myself.
sure. Okay. There's also Muslims can be prophets, but you're probably not that interesting for you.
Well, that's actually interesting because we believe that we can still have prophets, but just not ones that
Oh, it
tell
does
you
make
new
sense.
things about God.
Yeah. Where are we? Maybe we should talk about homosexuality at some point.
The Quran doesn't even mention this, right?
It does. It
Ooh,
counts it as a
where?
category of. I forgot the word. There's a whole category of things that for adultery and homosexuality comes into that category.
Really?
Yeah. So can Jesus fly? What was I looking for again?
Literally that.
Yeah.
The word raised.
Oh yeah. So.
So it can apply to when Muslims pray as well as when Isa was raised to Allah.
Yeah, I'm looking for.
it's fine. We can go over it
Yeah.
next week because there'll be something to talk about.
Oh yes, here I think Jesus didn't fly. So you got the verse of the Quran, and then I can't find it. But yeah,
We can bring it up. That's fine.
Yeah,
I'll remember.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Well, pleasure
Thank
talking to you.
Nice talking to you.
Thanks for the information.
Okay.
And then
I forgot your name already.
David, that's
David.
fine. David. And it was Khaled because I saw your channel anyway.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fine. All right. No, perfect. Well, yeah, that's everything. Again, I believe that there is room to have these conversations on camera, where we are not yelling at each other, lambasting each other, insulting each other, and exchange our ideas. The problem I personally have, if you've ever seen me on a video with the Sunnis, is that their entire belief appears to be based upon, so without the Bible being corrupted, they have no faith. So they have only made their religion or their aspects of it in opposition to the Bible and Christianity. So obviously,
Yeah.
I can't
I
jive
think
with
that,
that.
I feel bad when you got the atheists who say all the debates are my God is better than your God.
Yeah.
And I spend most of my time here doing what I call happiness classes, based on spiritual teachings that everybody can benefit. Obviously, they're based on Islam, but Christians and Jews or whatever, and even Buddhists, whatever, I'm pointing at, he wants to be left alone, can all benefit and have some version of it as well in their Bible, etc.
Okay.
So anyway, I think that's it. Yeah.
All right. We can end there. Sure. Wrap up? All right. So basically, I had a very nice conversation with Khaled. Okay. So Khaled is an Ahmadiyya Muslim. They have slightly different views from Sunni Muslims, being that they already believe in the metaphorical return of the Messiah. And that is their founder. I forgot his name, so excuse me about that. I'll get it next time. Effectively, though, one interesting thing about their belief is how they stick more so to the actual words of the Quran. And they don't try to interpolate things or distort meanings. Okay. So when it says, for example, we discussed that when the Sunnis say that Allah cannot appear in creation because He is infinite, the Quran actually says otherwise. The Quran talks at length actually about Allah being able to either be seen on earth or appearing in earth, or is also Lord in heaven and in earth. So in some conceivable way, according to the Quran at least, Allah is either localized on earth or in some way through His omniscience or whatever can actually appear in earth. So when the Sunnis tell you otherwise, they are lying. And there's various verses that can prove this. I'll give it to JC so you can post them out at the end. There's multiple verses that can do this. So effectively, Allah can in some way enter creation because Surah 2:115 says, look to the east, look to the west. And what do you see there? You see Allah. So unless somehow looking to the east and the west allows you to see above Allah's throne, then He is here in some kind of meaningful way.
So He's in creation.
In some kind of meaningful way.
Okay.
So in that way, the Muslims, the Sunnis, are going to have to admit now that it is technically possible for Him to come here as Jesus Christ. But that's an ongoing conversation.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that was something interesting for Shamsi to perhaps defend.
One day, I'll bring it all to him. But I think it's important, so let me give you all the verses and then you can put it up.
Yes, please.
You too as well. If you
Alright.
want. Yeah, cool. Do you guys want to, actually no, I'll put it in the chat.
Put it on the chat
Yeah.
or just
I'll put it in the chat.
or just read it out right now.
Okay.
So it's just Bukhari, these.
No, forget Bukhari. Straight Quran only.
Sorry, Quran. Sorry.
Straight
Sorry,
Quran only.
Yeah.
So, very quickly for everyone, just as a recap.
Alright.
So, Surah 43, 84.
Alright.
And He, it is who is God in heaven and God in earth. Surah 43, 84. The next one, Surah 24, 35. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. Do you all see? That means light's going into your eyes, so that's Allah.
That's Allah.
Surah 24, 35.
Okay.
Surah 2, verse 115, like I said before.
read it.
And Allah belongs the east and the west, so wherever you turn,
Wherever you look,
there is the face of Allah.
we can see Allah's face
Right
wherever
there, right there, right there.
Oh, wow. Where's Allah? I can see Allah.
He's everywhere, JC.
He's everywhere.
What's wrong
Oh,
with you? He's the light and the east and the west. Come on, JC.
Okay.
Surah 50,
Alright.
verse 16.
Read it.
And we, Allah being, are nearer to man than even his jugular vein. Last I checked, my jugular vein is here on earth. It's not above the throne. So unless I have a different one somewhere else, then that's fine. And what else do we have? Surah 57, verse 4. And He, Allah, is wherever you are. Personally, I'm on earth.
Yeah.
So Allah's here too.
That's on earth.
In some capacity.
Alright, you are Allah.
And I think those are...
See you.
And the last one,
Yeah.
Surah 6, verse 103. Eyes cannot reach Him, but He can reach the eyes. Well, people, He can reach the eyes. So I can't see Allah, which doesn't make any sense, but before I could, but whatever. I can't see Allah, but He can reach me somehow. Okay, whatever. Anyway, Allah is here. And guess what? There's no single verse anywhere in the Quran that says the opposite, that Allah cannot be here. So when Sunnis make these claims, they are defying the Quran. And they will have to explain this on the Day of Judgment.
Okay, so they're not allowing the
Quran to speak for itself.
And is it possible also, David, that the Quran is borrowing from Christian theology and Christians' understanding of the nature
And
of
that
God?
is why they are afraid to say yes. Their entire worldview, particularly for the Sunnis who come to this park, is in derogation to Christianity.
Right.
So they cannot affirm anything of Christianity found in the text, despite it being borrowed from Christianity. And they're stuck in a conundrum now where they believe in a door with two hands and a veil. It's a big mess. Come to Christ as always.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice one. Facts.